Okay, it's day 172. This is part 5, and that is Sears Tower. That's where they put the antenna, just to follow off Quinn Michael's good research. That's where they put the antenna. That's where Martin Cooper put the antenna, and then he walked along this street right here. Either this or the John Hancock building, which is on the north side of the city. But this is where he walked, and he made the phone call for all the reporters. And that's really how Martin Cooper, who's kind of more adept in, even though it was 7 years later, you can ask my brothers about being on the mobile phone. It was 9 years later. He was more media savvy. We also had the backing of Motorola. But anyway, the patents came out here from Cleveland. So we're going to leave that there and talk more about an ongoing investigation, which is the Iran investigation. And we have, Task Force is going to be our liaison to Robin Gritz and her involvement in the Iran investigations. So let me set this up with a couple of names you might not be familiar with. So the first name is Jeffrey Sterling, and he's this black guy who almost died in prison. He just got out last year from the CIA for Iranian espionage. That's what he was charged with. I think he served about 3 years and 3 months and 3 days. But anyway, he was recruiting students in New York City, Iranian students, or students that would go to Iran and do Iranian studies. Now, there was one student from North Carolina, and her name was Saberi. Saberi, I talked about in the last film. She's this kid from North Dakota, wins Miss North Dakota. I don't know if she was recruited in New York to go to Iran or if she was recruited in Washington, D.C., but she goes to Iran in 2003. She loses her first press credential in 2006. Was she doing espionage work? Who knows, honeypot? I don't know anything about it. But I'm just trying to put the metadata out there for people to look into. Now, she loses her second press credential in 2009. And some people think, well, that's when Hillary took over, and that's when Hillary wanted to start doing the resources for the future with the yellow cake uranium and spinning it in Iran. So there's a lot of metadata that points in that direction. What's really important now is 2 key dates. One is the Saberi imprisonment in March of 2009 and her subsequent hunger strike. The other key date is when does Robin Gritz get her out, which I believe is May-ish timeframe. And then the other key date is when does the Iranian government, or when does FBI with Gaddis come down on her, grab her file, throw her team that's in on this whole investigation with Robert Levinson, who was another CIA agent who was abducted there. When do they throw her out? Or when do they throw her off the case? So you're in contact with Robin.
Yes. Correct.
And we don't really know yet, but we're waiting for a response.
Yeah, I just know that Gaddis came in with Robin in 1997, which is, I believe, they were in the academy together, because I think
they were in the academy together in
next
97.
To her, I believe. And I have not got yet dates.
Was she surprised to learn Andy McCabe bought a house in Chappaqua in 1998?
I let her know last night what I knew about Andy McCabe's time in Chappaqua in 1998, the same year that Hillary Clinton was establishing residency to fight for the Senate position against JFK Jr. before his plane allegedly crashed.
Went down by accident.
Oh, yeah.
So the other key thing we learned was Andy's first field office was the New York office.
Yeah.
Now, I still say Andy came from the St. Louis office, and he had 3 years with another agency before he was inserted into New York. Do we know exactly when he started with the New York office, field office, at this point?
I don't know the exact date yet. No.
But we'll find that out. But since he bought a home in New York in 1998.
In Chappaqua.
In Chappaqua, down the street from Hillary, I think it's pretty safe to say he was kind of brought in to work the Hillary for Senate kind of a run-up. Right. And a lot of times, we know now Peter Stokes and Melissa Hodgman, is Peter Stokes kind of a fake front for bringing in the SEC, undermining different executives, compromising different executives, then coming in and saying, hey, we're going to take your company, or you can give us a nice donation. Was that what was really happening? I know I said that day one in this series, but now we're really drilling down into, could that have happened? Is that really where he was working? Was that really the kind of color of law operation they were running, or wasn't it? And Robin's working with you on this?
Yeah, and also just stunned and shocked to find out even, that I have the property records of Andy McCabe selling or buying or cashing out that same house in 2013, which from 98 to 2013.
By Peter Burgess. By Peter Burgess. And I don't know if he's related to our General Burgess or if he's related to Cameron Burgess, the guy who shoots himself at the White House. But we're going to find out. So, or even Mr. Clockwork Orange, Anthony Burgess. But we're going to find out. And all this stuff is so important for other agents to come forward, other people who are working in national security, which is all declassified now, other people that were working CIA, etc. We know that Jeffrey Sterling somehow was upset and was talking to James Risen about classified stuff for nuclear materials. And he had a conversation in 2002 through 2004. James Risen, Pulitzer Prize winner, did the whole AT&T expose of collected all of the NSA. We know that he was some kind of secrets were going to James Risen. In the book, if you look at James Risen's book that he wrote about it, it was about centrifuges. So again, this is not speculation. This is New York Times Pulitzer Prize winning reporter reporting that it was centrifuges, reporting that they were going to go after the Ahmadinejad's centrifuges. So how did Ahmadinejad get all that latest and greatest technology? Who approved it? Well, let's look to the other people who are Secretary of State who approved Stinger missiles, who approved sarin gas to be moved from Libya to Syria, who approved all these other movements of uranium around the world. That's the place you start. If somebody robs 6 banks down this street and they're heading in that direction, and somebody robs the 7th bank, you look to who robbed the first 6. That's just straight up modus operandi. Anything you want to add?
No. Except that Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State during all these transactions.
And all this stuff happens almost like a month or two after she starts. And Rahm Emanuel was the chief of staff?
Rahm Emanuel was the chief of staff in the White House with President Obama at that exact time. At the same time, everything was going on.
But going back to when Jeffrey Sterling started.
Rahm Emanuel was the chief of staff in Bill Clinton's White House.
In Bill Clinton's White House. And also Sidney Blumenthal figures very largely in the Bill Clinton White House, as well as the Obama White House. The Obama did not want Sidney Blumenthal in the White House, but there were a lot of people exfiltrating data to him, like Susan Rice and other intermediaries on behalf of John Brennan. We're going to leave it right there. It's bloody cold. And there it is. That's where the first antenna went for Martin Cooper in 1973 to walk down this street and give a demonstration of the same technology of my dad's phone. Take the handle, put 4 AA batteries on one side of it, 4 in the other in the handle, make the antenna a little bit longer, a big antenna on top of this building.